Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, thank you for your service. Just to refresh people's memory on the Budget Control Act, the reason the Budget Control Act was put in place was to effectively create so much pain on the discretionary side of the spending that it would force formula changes to the mandatory side of the budget. Those mandatory changes never came about. One of the challenges that we have is that we're just living longer, and that's created challenges with the funding of Medicare and Social Security. Probably better than the alternative, though. But as it is, we live under the Budget Control Act. We as a Congress have been reactive to trying to resolve this problem, and it has created a very serious challenge for the three of you at that table. We've talked about the military budget on an annual basis for the last several years, but General Dunford, if the BCA is not repealed, what does our military look like 4 years from now if we're operating under the Budget Control Act numbers?
Congressman, we'll have some tough choices to make, and it's either going to be a significantly smaller military, incapable of meeting the strategy, or we'll try to maintain capacity, in which case it'll be the hollow force that I joined in the late 1970s. In either case, it's not what the United States of America needs to defend itself.
I would just suggest that the sooner we deal with the BCA, the better off we'll be. It makes no sense to start building a ship today that cannot be completed because the Budget Control Act forces the termination of the contract early. As we talk about those tough choices, a lot of countries were mentioned. Some countries that were not mentioned in your testimony were Venezuela, Honduras, El Salvador, Colombia, Guatemala, Mexico. I had time to visit with Admiral Tidd in Miami a few months ago. We talked about the narcotics flow into the United States from those countries. Approximately 50,000 Americans died from drug overdoses last year. At a minimum, half of those drugs originated from the Southcom area of responsibility. A lot of other countries down there with chaos that are going on outside of the transnational criminal organizations. What additional resources do we need to combat the transnational criminal organizations within the Southcom region? Given the threat that they pose to Americans, why is this not a higher U.S. national security priority?
Congressman, the two major capability areas that Admiral Tidd probably shared with you when you were down there is intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, so he can support the interagency effort to stop drug flow, as well as maritime capability to interdict that drug flow. Those are the two main capability areas that he would want to have, and that we have not been able to routinely meet the requirements that he's identified.
General, they are so short-funded that when they have the intel that there is a load of cocaine coming into the United States, in many cases they have to sit there and watch it go by. I know as we talk about all of these other concerns, you've got a lot to balance. But I just wonder if maybe just as we do for OCO, maybe there should be a direct funding line for Southcom with regard to the drug interdiction mission. I know that without training dollars, they simply would not be able to function at this stage. And so I would just encourage you as you go forward to just keep in mind that over 50,000 Americans died from drug overdoses last year, significantly more than have died from acts of terrorism in the last decade. And that war is on our border. It's right here. It's on top of us. With that said, I appreciate your service to the country, your commitment to the country, and Mr. Norquist, look forward to getting to know you better. But thank you for your service as well. With that, I yield the remainder of my time.